here we are in ESE Ohana, ladies and gentlemen. In the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our green Terran player from Empire winning 3 games in a row. It is Beastyqt. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner from FXO CIS, their purple Protoss player trying to put a stop to the bleeding. It is Elbegast.
That's right. Elbegast, like the suture that holds his team together in this team league, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Now, TVP, not a matchup that we see a lot of mech play in, so I think we're going to see some Marines and Marauders this game from Beastyqt. And we'll just have to see just how he decides to position those. I feel like this is actually a pretty good map for Beastyqt TVP. I mean, there's a lot of places to drop. There's plenty of room to get nice concaves with a large bioforce. So, you know, honestly, he's got to be coming into this feeling pretty confident, I would think.
We'll see what his strategy of choice is going to be, and is obviously not putting on any super early pressure. By we saw in a TVT scenario where he sent out 2 SCVs at the same time to proxy some Marauders. No such proxy cheese play going to go on here. He's just going to play legitimate for a little while. Has he queued up a 14th SCV? No, he has not, but is not actually going after gas quite yet. There we go, and it looks like he's just going to try and fill this in as he scouts.
Yep, that's right. Wants to wall in early on. It's always good to have that be a priority in Terran versus Protoss, just because, what?
Oh, I was going to say, he's trying to just wall it off a little bit and have the SCV get to the other side so we could cancel, but it wouldn't do it. He had to restart it like 4 different times and finally just gave up and lowered the supply depot. Just kind of funny, I'm sorry.
Don't have a lot to do with your APM at that point in the game anyway, so it's okay. But yeah, you always want to, generally want to wall off versus Protoss these days just because it restricts that information. You know, Protoss wants to know what's going on. Even though it's a longer 2-base map, it is still a 2-base map. Therefore, Beastyqt can kind of maybe trick his opponent into thinking he's doing a 1-1-1 or something by having that wall off.
That's right. So cybernetic score is on the way now for Elbegast. The question is going to be, does he take second gas? Does he go for that 1 gas, 1 gate expand that's so common against Terran players recently? What is going to be his game plan? We'll certainly find that out here in just a bit. Using all of his Chrono Boost right away, though, on probes, really investing into that economy early on.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, he knows he's not going to be able to get his Nexus down quite as fast as he would normally want to this game, so why not get just a lot of probes out so that when you do have that, you'll be able to transfer more, you'll be able to saturate your main base a little bit quicker. I think we're going to see a fairly fast robotics facility from him as well. He's going to want to know what his opponent is doing. He'll be able to go and see the command center if he scouts now, potentially, if he can sneak a probe past his opponent. But look at this, yeah, the engineering blade block by Beastyqt works okay, but it really works a lot better against Protoss players that skip their first Zealot.
Yeah, and in this case, his opponent didn't even have the 400 resources necessary for the Nexus anyway, so it ended up not being all that big of a deal.
Yeah, yep. Doesn't really hurt Beastyqt as well, but just kind of an anecdote for those of you who like to engineering bay block in TVP. It's you want to kind of keep an eye out to see if they have their first Zealot or not. If they skip the Zealot, then you can do it, and it takes them a long time to get rid of it because a probe and a stalker do not DPS down those buildings very quickly.
No, not at all. Well, it is going to be that pretty traditional 1 Rex gasless fast expand into 3 Rex into double gas for Beastyqt.
Yep.
This is absolutely as standard can be. Stalker tried to get in there, unfortunately took quite a bit of damage.
Wow,
Gonna have to retreat back home.
No kidding. And oh no, he wants some more. Oh, the Stalker getting a bit low. Looks like the Zealot is going to be able to just barely escape. The other Stalker's like, oh man, I don't want to go with you guys.
No, we go back home now.
Yeah.
Gateways number 2 and 3 coming out for Elbegast. He's actually putting those down into the 30s of supply, so that's relatively economical. I mean, he's not feeling 100% threatened. They would come down earlier if he was, so he could hold some sort of a huge push. And I imagine we'll see that robotics facility like you were talking about pretty soon.
Yep, there it is right now. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. More and more Protoss players in Korea and everywhere else have been going for 3 gates and then a robo lately, and it used to always be just like gate, robo, gate usually. So I think Protoss players are definitely starting to feel the pressure from Terran a little bit early on as well. There's so many 4 barracks and 5 barracks builds that tend to hit a little bit early enough anyway, that you want to delay that robo just a little bit.
And BC for now is not producing any Marauders at all, just prioritizing purely Marines. But of course, he'll swap over to those Marauders here in a second as he is getting double Tech Labs. He'll want those extra upgrades, of course. We'll start to see a couple of Marauders. And prioritizing all upgrades faster than his factory tech as we see the engineering bay on the way now.
Yeah, very heavy upgrades. It's actually interesting that he did decide to get that second Tech Lab. The reason being is that so many Terran players have been okay with getting those upgrades later just because they know they have a little bit more utility, I guess, having that extra Marine count early on.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to kind of see him go back to a little bit more of an old school style of playing Terran versus Protoss. I like it, but I feel like it's a little bit behind the times. I don't know if you need those 2 upgrades so quickly. Oh, and this is why. Okay, that explains it. He's getting the upgrades very quickly because he's going for one of those very fast 2-base ghost pushes. I haven't seen one of these in a long time.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to this, though. Now, Elbegast will certainly have the potential to defend. It really depends on his tech choices here in the next few seconds. I mean, are we going to see a Forge and eventual upgrades? And it's a robotics space, so that's doubly interesting. He's posturing towards a very aggressive position. Now, he could still double Forge after this, but more than likely, we're going to see him move quickly into that range upgrade, a Colossus, and then add on 3 more gates and try and push.
Yeah, 2-base Colossus is so good against what Terrans have been doing lately, but the question is, you know, will it be good against the ghost push like this? I would imagine it probably will be. EMP doesn't really do a whole lot other than reduce sentry energy. He'll be able to snipe some zealots, I suppose, with it. But, you know, with this 2-base Colossus play, you generally aren't very sentry heavy anyway, right? So the ghosts are going to be marginally effective in this particular situation.
And there we go. It's double Forge afterwards. So Elbegast is actually going to take a lot more defensive position. Interesting. You know, a lot of times you'll see double Forge, Immortal, and then Robotics Bay. But this go around, it is going to be double Forge after the Robotics Bay is finished up as we see our first Colossus just about to pop up.
Yep. The first Colossus on the way right now. Thermal Lance started as well, so the Colossus will have that extra range to be extra deadly. Beastyqt, though, it looks like he's gathering his forces for his first push here. And this is going to be interesting. If he can get some good EMPs, hit those sentries, he's going to be able to come up the ramp, and there's nothing that Elbegast is going to be able to do about it. Here he comes. Great EMP on the sentries. No force fields for the Protoss opponent, and now he may be in trouble. Will the Colossus be able to save him?
Oh, my God. The Colossus pops out just as every other gateway unit was destroyed. That's insane. How perfect the timing was for Beastyqt.
Oh,
it could not have been any better.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. It just worked out perfectly for him.
Man, Beastyqt just seems to have the answer for everything that FXO CIS can throw at him today. That Nexus is dead, and the game is over. GG.
Wow, and Empire has just won their 4th game in a row. They're only 1 game away from taking the set.
Man, Beastyqt living up to his name today. What a beast.